Good afternoon, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Alyssa.
And this is Channel 3 News.
So as the election boils down, lobbyists and voters are finding it more and more hard to figure out which candidate to support.
That's right, Alyssa. Lobbyists in particular are finding it more and more difficult to decide which candidate they support.
We caught up with Republican candidate Matt Boerdien for his input on how America should be improved.
Thanks, Alyssa. I'm here with Republican candidate Matt Boerdien to talk a little bit about his campaign. Matt, where do you stand on taxes and tax cuts?
We should decrease taxes all overall. This will give money more in the hands of the middle class and also in business, but this will allow for business to have better investments, decreasing price of products, overall stimulating the economy without waste.
And also, Matt, what would you plan, or what would you have done with the ISIS situation in the Middle East?
I believe when we took out all the troops in 2012, we should have left a small coalition of troops there to keep like the peace and rest there. Just like we did in all other countries around the world. This is what we did after World War II in Japan. We've done this in multiple other countries.
Thank you, Matt. Back to you guys.
Wow, what an incredible man.
You got that right. Now let's go to Luke with his interview of the Democratic candidate Steve Shin.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Democratic candidate Steve Shin to ask a few questions. Steve, Obama preached cuts for defense spending during a time of worldly unrest with advances of ISIS, Russia, Ukraine, and the Syrian civil war escalating. How do you plan on using less money to protect America?
Well, a lot of you should know Obama didn't necessarily say he will decrease manpower. It's more like he will decrease American manpower. We're cutting spending in terms of bringing troops to the Middle East or wherever there's conflict. Instead, we're proposing to bring officials who will bring the necessary knowledge that's needed for stabilization. For example, we would bring military officials, or we would bring necessary defense training for whatever the country is in need. And in that case, we can focus our funds into more internal issues that we have, such as our high debt. And I believe we can solve the problems without getting our own hands dirty, and because we already have our own problems.
And one more question for you, Steve. With increased premium rates and copays and not being able to keep your doctor because of Obamacare, how are you going to fix the healthcare situation? And are you going to be honest, unlike the last Democratic president?
Well, to be honest, personally, I don't think the Affordable Care Act was necessarily a success, but it was only a problem of how they went about it instead of what they proposed. So instead of, I want to provide more, it's standardized healthcare instead of getting taxes from the middle class to support this. It's more government proposed, and I think that it'll be a better approach if we make it a less, if we make it a more guideline-based system.
Thank you, Steve. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Luke. We definitely need our next president to be more honest than our last.
On another note, some of the major lobbyists are beginning to think about which candidate they would like to pledge their money to.
Let's go to Cassidy, who's meeting with Juliana, a teacher's lobbyist.
Hi, I'm Cassidy, here with Juliana, a teacher lobbyist. Juliana, who did you pledge your money to and why?
Well, out of my $5 million, I pledged $3 million to Matt Boerdien and $2 million to Steve Shin. My reasons are because Matt Barr said that he would donate a lot of money and put a lot of money into education as well as push the Common Core. And he said that if we would invest more in qualified teachers, it would be more beneficial to the overall society, which I strongly agree with. But Steve also said he put a lot of money into education, so I thought he should get $2 million too.
Thanks, Juliana. Back to you guys.
It sounds like at first Juliana was torn between the ideas of the Republicans and Democrats regarding education.
But over time, she's decided the Republican Party will better improve education.
Now Cassidy will go on scene to interview Thomas, an oil lobbyist.
Hi, I'm here with Thomas, an oil lobbyist. Thomas, who did you pledge your money to and why?
I pledged my money to the candidate Matt Boerdien because what he is offering benefits me the most compared to what the other candidate is offering.
Thanks, Thomas. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Cassidy. So far, it's looking in favor of the Republican candidate, Matt Boerdien.
With $15 million pledged from only one lobbyist, it does seem that way. However, it is still up to the voters.
We interviewed Ashley, a passionate voter, on what she thinks about all this. Let's go to Cassidy.
Thanks, guys. I'm Cassidy here with an angry voter.
Ashley, where do you stand on healthcare and problems with health on the border?
I think that illegal immigrants should not be allowed to come in and get free health care from hospitals because they just come into the hospitals and then they get free health care, and once they become discharged they have nowhere to go, and it's just dumb because Americans pay tax money for health care and then they get free health care and steal everything from us. So
Back to you guys.
Wow, she does not like healthcare.
And it sounds like she's in favor of Matt Berardine too.
Alright, well that about wraps up our segment here on Channel 3 News. I'm Thomas Foster.
And I'm Melissa Keene.
Make sure to tune in with us next time.
Stay
Stay
classy,
classy,
South
South Forsyth.
Forsyth.